Mark Twain Selected Works. Whereas, later renamed Aurelia's Unfortunate Young Man.
Love's Bakery. I am satisfied I have found a place now that I have been looking for all this time. I cannot describe to you the sensation of mingled astonishment, gladness, hope, doubt, anxiety, and balmy, blissful emotion that suffused my being and quivered in a succession of streaky thrills down my backbone as I stood on the corner of 3rd and Minna Streets last Tuesday and stared, spellbound, at those extraordinary words, painted in large, plain letters on a neighboring window curtain. Love's Bakery. God bless my soul, said I, will wonders never cease? Are there to be no limits to man's spirit of invention? Is he to invade the very realms of the immortal, and presume to guide and control the great passions, the impalpable essences that have hitherto dwelt in the secret chambers of the soul, sacred from all save divine intrusion? I read and reread that remarkable sign with constantly increasing wonder and interest. There was nothing extraordinary in the appearance of the establishment, and even if it had possessed anything of a supernatural air, it must necessarily have been neutralized by the worldly and substantial look of a pyramid of excellent bread that stood in the window. A sign very inconsistent, it seemed to me, with the character of a place devoted to the high and holy employment of instilling the passion of love into the human heart, although it was certainly in keeping with the atrocious taste which was capable of conferring upon a vast royalty of heaven itself such an execrable name as Love's Bakery. Why not Love's Bower, or the Temple of Love, or the Palace of Cupid? Anything in the world would have been less repulsive than such hideous vulgarity of nomenclature as Love's Bakery. The place seemed very complete and well supplied with every facility for carrying on the business of creating love successfully. In a window of the 2nd story was a large tin cage with a parrot in it, and near it was a sign bearing the inscription, Preparatory School for Young Ladies. That is, of course, a school where they are taught certain things necessary to prepare them for the bakery down below. Not far off is also a preparatory school for young gentlemen, which is doubtless connected with Love's Bakery too. I saw none of the pupils of either of the schools, but my imagination dwelt upon them with a deep and friendly interest. How irksome, I thought, must the course of instruction be to these tender hearts, so impatient to be baked into a state of perfect love. Greatly moved by the singular circumstances which surrounded me, I fell into a profound and pleasing reverie. Here, I thought, they take a couple of hopeful hearts in the rough and work them up with spices and shortening and sweetening enough to last for a lifetime, and turn them out well kneaded together, baked to a turn and ready for matrimony, and without having been obliged to undergo a long and harrowing courtship, with the desperate chances attendant thereon, of persevering rivals, unwilling parents, inevitable love quarrels, and all that sort of thing. Here I thought they will bake you up a couple in moderate circumstances, at short notice and at a cheap rate, and turn them out in good enough shape for the money, perhaps, but nevertheless burnt with the fire of jealousy on one side, and flabby and duffy with lukewarmness and indifference on the other, and spotted all over with the saleratus stains of a predisposition to make the conjugal cake bitter and unpalatable for all time to come. Or they will take an excessively patrician pair, charge them a dozen prices, and deliver them to order in a week, all plastered over with the ghostly vines and flowers of blighted fancies, hopes, and yearnings, wrought in chilly icework. Or perhaps they will take a brace of youthful, tender hearts and dish them up in no time into crisp, delicate ladyfingers, tempting to contemplate and suggestive of that serene after-dinner happiness and sociability that come when the gross substantials have been swept from the board and are forgotten in soft dalliance with pastry and ices and sparkling moselle. Or maybe they will take two flinty old hearts that have harbored selfishness, envy, and all uncharitableness in solitude for half a century, and after a fortnight's roasting, turn them out the hardest kind of hardtack, invulnerable to all softening influences forevermore. Here was a revolution far more extended and destined to be attended by more momentous consequences to the nations of the earth than any ever projected or accomplished by the greatest of the world's military heroes. Love, the master passion of the human heart, which, since the morning of the creation, had shaped the destinies of emperors and beggars alike, and had ruled all men as with a rod of iron, was to be hurled from the seat of power in a single instant, as it were, and brought into subjection to the will of an inspired, a sublimely gifted baker. By some mysterious magic, by some strange and awful invention, the divine emotion was to be confined within set bounds and limits, controlled, weighed, measured, and doled out to God's creatures in quantities and qualities to suit the purchaser, like vulgar beer and candles. And in times to come, I thought the afflicted lover, instead of reading Houston and Hastings' omnipresent sign and gathering no comfort from it, will read Go to Love's Bakery on the dead walls and telegraph poles, and be saved. Now, I might never have published to the world my discovery of this manufactory of the human affections in the populous thoroughfare of San Francisco, if it had not occurred to me that some account of it would serve as a peculiarly fitting introductory to a story of love and misfortune, which it falls to my lot to relate. And yet even Love's Bakery could afford no help to the sufferers of whom I shall speak, for they do not lack affection for each other, but are the victims of an accumulation of distressing circumstances against which the efforts of that august agent would be powerless. The facts in the case come to me by letter from a young lady who lives in the beautiful city of San Jose. She is personally unknown to me and simply signs herself Aurelia Maria, which may possibly be a fictitious name. But no matter, the poor girl is almost heartbroken by the misfortune she has undergone, and so confused by the conflicting counsels of misguided friends and insidious enemies, that she does not know what course to pursue in order to extricate herself from the web of difficulties in which she seems almost hopelessly involved. In this dilemma, she turns to me for help and supplicates for my guidance and instruction with a moving eloquence that would touch the heart of a statue. Hear her sad story.